Hi, this is Swix. I work on developer experience at Netlify and recently wrote an article on the common trends behind design systems, TypeScript, Apollo GraphQL, and React at CSS Tricks. The way GraphQL variables work is best envisioned by how you would use it inside the graphical tool. Let's say you are querying the name of a user with an argument of ID 1. We give this query a name of getUser. Your query would be a simple string on the top left of graphical. However, you don't want to hardcode the ID of 1 since in your app you might change this around. So the answer is to make your named query itself take arguments and then pass those arguments down to whichever field takes those arguments. Think of it like making a function that takes arguments and calls another function with those arguments. To turn a basic hard-coded query into a dynamic one with variables, you have to do 3 things. First, replace the static value in the query with a $sign and then variable name. So for our example, we replace 1 with $ID. Second, you declare the variable as one of the arguments accepted by the query. GraphQL is strongly typed, so you also have to provide the variable's type up front, as well as indicate a required argument with a bang or exclamation mark. So for our example, after the named getUser query, we add open parenthesis $ID ID, which is the type, exclamation mark, close parenthesis. Third and final step, you separately pass in the variable name, ID, and value, 1, in a JSON object to your GraphQL client library. In graphical, this is the sometimes hidden bottom left panel. So just to recap, top left has your query, which doesn't change, and bottom left has your query variables, which does change. Now, you can change your query just by passing in a different JSON object without rewriting the query string at runtime. What a lot of people might miss is why you don't want to rewrite the query string at runtime. After all, GraphQL clients use the GraphQL-tag library to let you write ES6 template strings, which do string interpolation very well. Instead of writing $ID, ID, ID, and $ID again 4 times instead of 1 time, I could simply swap the static 1 value with some interpolated value from JavaScript. This is in fact exactly what I did, and I even wrote a Babel plugin called Babel Blade to auto-generate the query string at runtime. But then I met Lee Byron and other longtime users of GraphQL and learned that the reason you don't rewrite the query string is because you want to hardcode it. If you hardcode your query, you can serialize it up front. And if you can serialize it up front, you can make your GraphQL server only respond to that query. And that means hackers can't make unauthorized or prohibitively expensive queries. You can even reduce the query down to a single identifier, like query number 5, meaning you ship less JavaScript and data to your user. For huge apps like Facebook, this made a material difference to their speed because upload speeds are typically much slower than download speeds, especially on mobile devices. This is a best practice called persisted queries, and you can find more by Googling around. Think of going to your local diner and instead of ordering 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun every time, you just say you'll have the usual. Persistent queries are awesome and only possible because of GraphQL variables.